Hi everyone, it is Beth with Flying by the Seed of My Plants, and I got a lot done in the garden and it's almost done. Still have to do my potatoes. I swear I'm going to do that. I might do that tonight and hopefully post the video tomorrow. But anyhow, I almost didn't share this with you guys, but I thought, you know what, no, I'm going to share it. The other day I came out and I noticed like 3 or 4 days ago that the one bed of onions that I did, my sage plant was, the branches were actually laying on my onions, so they were kind of crushing them, and it was just a hot mess. So I went ahead and I decided to cut them down. And I'll share that in the video, what I was doing. And so this was probably like 3 days ago, and so far I'm not seeing anything bad. And after I went ahead and cut them, you know, I started researching it more, and I did see videos where this cutting your onion tops down actually stopped the process for the onions. But I also noticed the person that experimented with that, the bulbs were already forming. So right now my bulbs are not forming. I planted these probably about 10 weeks ago, and I seen another video where they cut it at the 10-week mark, the tops, and it was done purposely. And they said that the onions, the bulbs were bigger. So then I started rethinking it and thinking, well, maybe it's okay. And so it's kind of like an experiment. So the ones that I did top, we'll see how they do with, there was another bed back there of onions I did not top off. You know, a couple leaves I did, the ones that were bending over. But I figure it's a good experiment, and I am definitely going to show the after for a comparison, and you know, if it really does work. A lot of the videos I've seen where they did the topping of the onions, but they didn't show the result. So I was really interested. I wanted to see the result, and I didn't see it anywhere out there. So I'm going to show you the results. Of course, it's not going to happen for a while, but when I harvest, we'll compare the onion beds, the one down there that I didn't top and the ones over here that I did top. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that video and what I did and the reason why I did it. So it's an experiment, and I just wanted to share it and keep it all open to you guys of exactly what I do, whether it's a mistake or we find out that it really benefited. So, all right, be back in a little bit. I went ahead and I had to trim back the sage bush that was starting to grow over into my onions. So it was just getting really heavy on them. So I went ahead and trimmed that, but it's a beautiful bouquet, and I'm going to go ahead and harvest off the sage leaves and let them dry, and then ground it up for seasoning. But the flowers are absolutely gorgeous. And today it's about 85 degrees, so the tomatoes, some of them are kind of struggling because I just planted them and it's just so hot. So tonight I'm going to go ahead and give them a deep watering. So hopefully through the night they have time to recuperate from all that heat. But I'm going to put this on the side for now. But what I'm doing in the onions is I'm going to trim these back. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. They're starting to fall over, and you really don't want your onions to do that. And I also brought out some blood meal, and this has the nitrogen, and it's 12% nitrogen in this. So the onions do need this. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Okay, so I'm going to go about See how they're just bending over on their own? And I don't know if wind really just knocked these around, because the other bed, they're all standing up straight. But I don't want it to bend over because that kind of signals to the onion that it's done. And I definitely don't want that to happen. So I am going to trim these. And I can cut those leaves up. You can use it in cooking. The ones that aren't bent over, I'm not going to trim those. But that sage even knocked over some of these onions. Okay, so they look a lot better. So I went ahead and trimmed just about all of them down because they were just flopping over. And I gave them a nice dose of the bone meal, and then I worked it in. And the battery went dead when I was doing that, so I don't know why, but when it gets really hot out, the battery just doesn't last as long. So, anyhow, work that all in, and they look a lot better. So, and I'm not going to spoon them right now. I'm going to let them grow a little more, and then I'm just going to go around the edges like this, and you just move it away. They call it spooning, I guess, you know, you can use a spoon. And this gives room for the bulb to expand when you do that. So right now I'm just gonna leave it go at this right now, and I will keep checking on it, make sure they're okay. And I did research it, and you can cut them back just to help them because when you go to harvest them, that's usually when their leaves will bend, but that's when they have the bulb. So I didn't want it to signal that it was done and not form the bulb, and that's why I trimmed it. Plus it was just flopping all over the place. So I'm going to go check on the other bed, and we'll see how that's going. Okay, so this bed looks a lot better. I'm going to clean this out a little. And there's only a couple that are bent over. I have a feeling that sage bush being right next to everything was bouncing on it when it got windy. So right now I'm just going to put the bone meal in. And pulling weeds or little maple trees from the helicopters. Just work it in. Now just water it in. So added the nitrogen. That's really important for the onions. And it's every 2 to 3 weeks that you add the nitrogen. And then you quit adding it about 2 or 3 weeks before you're going to harvest them. So, but I'll come back. Well, of course I'm going to be checking them every day, but I'm going to give them probably another week or 2 before I start doing the spooning. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the pepper plants. And these are my hot peppers, and I'm working in some trifecta. This is a slow release fertilizer. I just want to work that in, and then I'll water these in. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to add along with that is some tomato tone. And I'm going to water that in. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep repeating on these peppers. That makes me feel so much better. But yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 beds of peppers to work in the fertilizer, and I'll go ahead and bring it back. Okay, so I gave all the peppers some fertilizer and also added some tomato tone. And these are the bunching onions. Added some fertilizer there. And trimmed up that sage plant. And here I cleaned up the onions here and added fertilizer and watered. And went ahead and added fertilizer here. And all of these beds, and all the way down here, and cleaned up these onions a little bit and added fertilizer. Whew, so that is done. I'm so happy. I've been wanting to get to this. So I want to show you something else that I got, and let me take you over there. Okay, so this bed I did add some fertilizer and I watered, and this is the bed where the groundhog was getting in there. And I went ahead and added some more Kajari seed. But I want you to listen to this. I installed this, well, it's a solar, it's just on a peg. But this is called a mole repeller, and they say it works on groundhogs. And I got two in this bed. Did you hear the noise? And I guess that's supposed to scare them off. And it goes off about, I don't know, maybe every minute. And so I don't see any new damage today. And I went ahead and fertilized these guys. And I have one of those in this bed. And I have one in this bed also. And one over there. And I'm going to wait until the sun gets past the tree so I can work in these beds because it's so hot right now. And I am going to give the tomatoes a good drink. It's just been really hot. And since these were just transplanted into the ground on Monday, and today's Wednesday, the roots haven't really taken off, so hopefully they're going to be okay. I just see a couple San Marzanos back there that are a little wilty right now. So I'm going to water these good so they can soak in again tonight. And I'm also going to I'm going to plant, I'm going to take a little break, and then I'm going to work on this center area. Okay, so just wanted to share that with you as far as the onions, what I did with the one bed, and that was mainly due to that sage bush was just beating them up. And, you know, just keep following along and we'll check on the bulbs and see a comparison. And I will definitely show you all that. And the one thing that's really important is adding that nitrogen to your onions. They say anywhere from every 2 to 3 weeks. So that's really important. And then before harvesting, probably about 3 weeks before you're ready to harvest, 3 or 4 weeks, that's when you want to stop fertilizing them. So the next step I'll be doing probably in another couple weeks is spooning them. And that's just making room for the bulb. And that's something I do. Not everybody does that either. So maybe I'll just do it to one bed and not the other. See how that does. And the other important thing I wanted to throw in, you know, that with my peppers, where I did add some fertilizer, and I did add tomato tone to that too. That is something I recently found out. So to all my hot peppers, I did add that. But anyhow, I guess that's about it. And again, thank you for joining me. And if you're new to the channel and if you like the content, there is going to be so much more coming up. This is just the beginning. Today is, I think it's June 3rd. So the one thing, I did take some of those onion that I did trim off, and I am dehydrating them, and I'm going to powder them up for an onion powder. So you could do stuff like that. And so the next video is going to be on planting potatoes. I get busy, and it's just me. So anyhow, and the potatoes, I gotta look, but I think it's like 90 to 120 days before you can harvest those. So actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get a box and let me check on that. I'll be right back. Okay, so the potatoes take anywhere, depending on the variety, anywhere from 80 to 140 days. So a good trigger is, you know, you plant the potato seeds, and I'll show you all that. And you'll get all the green leaves, the foliage, and then you'll start getting the flowers. And once the flowers start dying back, that's pretty much a notice to you that it's almost time to harvest. So once they start dying back, probably within 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be harvesting potatoes. And last year I think I did, I think it was 6 bags. I do them in the grow bags, and each bag gave me about 5 pounds. So that was pretty awesome. So anyhow, I hope you guys are having a great gardening season, getting your gardens in, and there's a lot more content to come up. And I'll bring you along through the whole thing, watching the onions, what happens with that. Because at first I really and truly thought I made a big mistake. But, I've seen it both ways, where people say it's okay, and others are like, no, don't even do that. So, but I did it because that sage bush was just beating those onions up. So, anyhow, we'll see what happens with that, and I will share all of that with you and how the bulbs do. And I think, in comparison to other videos that I've seen with the onions and going ahead and cutting them, it depends on the time that you cut them, I think is very important. So, so we'll find out. So, all right, well, thank you for joining me, and thank you to all the subscribers. I really appreciate all of you. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you like the content, and hit the like button, because that'll keep it going in the YouTube world for other people to see the video. And feel free to comment if you have concerns on what I did. Hopefully it's going to be okay. But let me know if any of you have tried doing that and what the outcome was. I know when they're young seedlings you can do that. At least with my bunching onions, I top those off. But anyhow, all right, so I am going to let you guys all go, and I will talk to you on the next one. All right, bye.